Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this third day of September. We are 48 hours away from the NFL season starting Thursday night. Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs there. Got a great show with you for tonight. Going to go over the NFC West and finish out the NFC, and also go over the AFC East. And I'll tell you something, folks. I think was it Michael Carter, the cornerback there for the Jets, I want to say, this afternoon has signed an extension here. Yeah, Michael Carter, the cornerback, very good player, 3-year, $30 million per extension there, $30 million extension, he's opposite of Sauce Gardner, so nothing on Hassan Reddick yet, though. Anyways, Trent Williams, they finally got him back with the 49ers. Speaking of holdouts there, and it looks like that Christian McCaffrey's finally back as well from his calf injury, but I'll talk about that a little bit after the break. Stand by. We'll have a couple announcements here, and I'll be back, and we will hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. To get the National Streaming Sports channel on your Roku TV, channel search National Streaming Sports. There's the channel search in Roku. There's our logo right on the right, NESSP. Tap on the logo, and it will add to your TV, the channel to your TV. On your laptop, tablet, and mobile phone, download the free Roku app and channel search just like above. If you don't have Roku TV, you have to order a Roku device from the Roku store, hook it up to your smart TV, and bang, you have Roku TV. Again, channel search, National Streaming Sports, click on our NESSP logo, and add the channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
All righty then. That's getting through our announcements there. Looking like a real professional show here. All right. Now, As I was talking about, but I want to thank Mac and Linda at Northeast Stream or National Stream and Sports there. It's good publicity for the Real Sports Scope. Greatly appreciate that. Mind you, folks, we are on the National Stream and Sports channel under Roku. On the Roku TV. We're live here now. All right. Okay. Now, so I was looking at, let's start off with the college game. I forgot to mention that in the intro last night. Florida State, 2 straight losses there, fall out of the top 25. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's no way that this DJ Ugla Avan or whatever his name is played the whole game. After going to Ireland last week and losing that game, this guy cannot hit the deep ball. He cannot hit that comeback route, especially in crucial situations. And, okay, you give him the first game, say, okay, bad game. Let's regroup a little bit. And then this other BC, that was the Boston College game, folks, was at Florida State, and they scored 13 points. And DJ, the quarterback, I just call him DJ, that last name's a mouthful. But 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 27 quarterback rating. He was 21 of 42. Same thing. I mean, and you're lost the game by 15 points. They're completely out of the top 25. Technically, I guess they would be in the playoff mathematically, but that's pretty much out of the question, even with the 12-team playoff at this point. But here's my thing. Why didn't he bench him? Why didn't he bench this player? This player come over from, was it Oregon State? From Oregon State to Clemson, all right? And I'm not saying this has been told. All I'm saying is it's certainly, in my opinion, judging by him not benching DJ, the quarterback there, being a former 5-star player, was there some type of NIL agreement, okay, that he can have, he no matter what, that Mike Norvell is going to play him so many snaps, no matter what, he cannot be benched. That's the only reason that he's not benching this guy at this point. Now, if he doesn't bench him next week or their next game and that they lose again, it has to be something else other than they think the backup quarterback's that bad. You know, he finally got benched at the at Clemson. Of course, he moved off Clemson for this. Clemson went with the other young guy, Klubnik. Of course, they only scored 3 points themselves, but that's, like I was mentioning yesterday's program, that was against Georgia, one of the best defenses I've ever seen for multiple years in a row in the college game with this kind of turnover. So that, going back to Florida State though, there's something more to this than beats the eye, and I hope it comes out. I hope it's not one of those cases, but this is part of the NIL stuff because we know that players are getting recruited from other teams. You know, Nick Saban said it, $20 million in transfers from Ohio State. They got the wrong players. It doesn't mean nothing. You know, so even though technically I know that's illegal to recruit players with NIL that are already on other teams prior to them wanting to transfer. But it happens. A lot of this stuff happens anyways. And I'm just curious about that. It just seems something fishy down there. I thought Florida State was going to be fine. Now they've lost 2 games. 2 of the last 3 years, Norvell has not really lived up to standards. Last year, obviously, they were undefeated under Jordan Travis. Probably should have had a shot at the playoff being undefeated, being in a major power conference. They wouldn't because of Travis's injury. the quarterback. Could Norvell be on some kind of hot seat? Possibly. If this continues at Florida State, things can change. You just can't have one out of 3 or 4 good seasons. You got to be a consistent winner. And we're going to have to see how that plays out, because I don't know how many coaches want to coach in this era right now, the NIL era. Okay, so that's my take on that. Somebody said I think there's something called Fubi TV or Fubu TV. He says the Florida and Florida State game will be on one of these low-end streaming service channels we never heard of, Fubu or something like that. It's hilarious. Which that very well may be, because I do think that the Florida, Florida head coach will get fired. I predicted that early on. Who was this guy's name here? And nobody seems to be wanting to take me serious on that. And I'm just saying, well, it is what it is. He's going to get canned. They got the hardest schedule, and they were 5-7 last year. So I don't know. I don't know. Billy Napier, excuse me. Yeah, Billy Napier is going to get canned, and possibly Norvell. So I'm really curious to see if DJ is going to start this week for their next game there at Florida State. All right, to the NFL, Trent Williams, 36-year-old player. He's an 11-time Pro Bowl. This guy's probably a Hall of Famer at this point. Got a rework deal there. He's going to be back. I was watching some stuff after I got off the program last night. He was back in town, getting off the airplane, and now he's going to be up and at 'em and ready to go, hopefully in air quotes, for next Monday. Yeah, that's 6 days away. Next Monday night's game against the Jets. Also out of San Francisco, had a calf injury. The majority of the training camp is Christian McCaffrey. So you've got Trent Williams. You don't know what kind of game shape he's in with 6 days to go for the regular season. Has not done nothing. I mean, I love Trent Williams, but he has not done anything in training camp. All right. Going against the Jets, pretty even without Hassan Reddick, they got their own problems with Reddick not being there. But still, Jets got a pretty good defense. And you've got calf injury, that can turn into Achilles real quick if you rush something like that back. He's been out about 3 weeks. That's McCaffrey I'm talking about here. Maybe a little bit longer. And then you've got Brandon Ayuk, who just signed last Friday. Thursday. We talked about that on the program very late last week. So this guy, less than 10 days before the game, week 1, your leading receiver there, Brandon Ayuk, your running back, he's supposedly going to be ready. And now your left tackle, you got three guys, and I think probably McCaffrey, he's such a workout warrior, probably be okay, but left tackle and your leading receiver, all right? What does this sound like? This sounds like a team that has had a lot of success lately and coming off of a Super Bowl hangover, and they are getting a little long in the tooth. People want money. I just don't see it for this team this year. I've said this before. Teams that lose the Super Bowl don't get back since the salary cap era began in 1994. Only team to do it was New England Patriots, and Brady's the best. Belichick's the best, even though I know he's been getting pounded here lately. But you think about it. You say, well, what about the Bills? That was before the salary cap era began, from 90 to 93. 94 is when the salary cap era began. This team might not make the playoffs. I do think that they're limping in there right now. I think they're going to get off to a slow start. But since I'm speaking of the Devils, I was going to do the NFC West first and finish out the NFC, and then I'll do the AFC East for today. We're getting it real close here to playoff time. Come Thursday, you will have my Super Bowl prediction. I'm going to try to get all that in right around kickoff time. I'll do the predictions for the North and the West before then. Those will probably be that will be tomorrow's show. The AFC North and the AFC West, so I can get the Chiefs and the Ravens out of the way since they play on Thursday. Okay. 49ers, rough off seasons. Some notes that I put down. As you recall, remember they fired Steve Wilks. Kyle Shanahan says it wasn't a right fit. He's an older defensive coordinator. Same thing with the Eagles, or with the Dolphins, and their defensive coordinator. They've had to change defensive coordinators. Okay, and I was okay with Wilks being let go. I understand that, but they hired a guy in house, Nick Sorensen. So I don't know. He's been an assistant and stuff, linebacker coach and all that. I thought they were going to go outside the organization and try to get a bigger name there. You know, I was thinking about Vic Fangio, who came in with a big name, just wasn't a good fit with McDonald there. Mike McDaniels, I guess is his name, from the Dolphins in that organization. So it feels like maybe that may be the situation here with the 49ers. So either way, they've got this Nick Sorensen in-house. It was reported, and I said this from the very beginning, you go hard after Bill Belichick. You try to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator ever. He had just been fired. That didn't work out. Or maybe go after Mike Vrabel. They seem to have had problems with the 49ers seem to have problems with the Chiefs towards the end of games. Vrabel and the Titans gave the Chiefs everything they can handle. Almost beat them with the guy like Malik Willis at quarterback there. His defense really stifled Kansas City. Kansas City, they squeezed out a few wins. Either way, maybe I would have made a run at two of those guys, or maybe went after the former Baltimore Ravens coordinator there, or the former Giants coordinator that they've decided to move on to last year. So it's interesting to see that. Okay. That being said, still got a lot of big Fred Warner on the defense, Joey Bosa. They did lose Eric Armstead there at that tackle position, but they've got Javon Hargrave there. They signed a lot of money, gave him a big chunk of money last year. So they've got Brandon Ayuk re-signed. That happened last week. I said they probably should have worked that out earlier on in the season. If you're going to move off somebody, maybe move off Samuel or Kittle because of their age, and since you're not paying Brock Purdy so much money, at least not next year. Even if they re-sign him next year, if they extend him next year, which they cannot use the fifth-year option on him because he wasn't a first-round pick. He's in year 3 now. This would be the year that they would want to load up. But I don't think this is going to be a year. Maybe next year they go a realistic run out of Super Bowl, in my opinion. All right. So anyways, I'm looking through their schedule here. And again, a lot of people, they are currently favored to beat the Jets. Last I checked, it was around 5-6 points, something like that, against the Jets on Monday night. And like I said before, the Jets have their only problems. But Pro Football Focus, they're really standing by their word here that the Jets has got a much upgraded offensive line. And, Rodgers practicing every day. Mike Williams looks like he's going to be back there. they look to be a real good matchup against the 49ers there on week one. I think the Niners, and you see this a lot in Super Bowl losing teams, look at or just teams that make the Super Bowl. Some get off to a really rough start. If you want to go back a few years, even the Patriots got off to a rough start the year after they won the Super Bowl. You know, they didn't go back to back. I remember Tennessee beat them in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were like 7-9 or something like that. But anyways, I've got them losing that Jets game. I've got them losing that game, even though they're and they got to go on a road and play at Minnesota. There's a chance they could lose that one, but I'm giving it to them for the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt at Minnesota, you know. But just a quick look at their schedule here. They play at Seattle in one of those Thursday night games. That's always – now, they've went up there and beat Seattle on Thursday night before. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, they got to play Kansas City again this year on October 20th. They play at Tampa, at Green Bay, at Buffalo in December, at Miami the 22nd, although I got them beating Miami. Then they got Detroit at home, and then at Arizona or against Detroit at home on Monday night, at Arizona off of a short week after playing Detroit on the Monday night game, you know. So this is not an easy schedule. This seems like a first-place schedule. I do not see this team winning anywhere near the 12 games that they won last year, you know. I've got them going 10-7. I think they'll stumble early. I think they'll stumble early with the loss to the Jets. They'll lose to Kansas City. They'll lose at Seattle. And I actually got them losing to Dallas. She said, why you got them losing to Dallas? Because Dallas is coming off a bye week. On October 27th, they play Dallas. They haven't had their bye week. Their bye week is on the week of November 4th, which is pretty good. You know, you want to have them later if you want to have them. But, you know, teams can – the Patriots used to get week 4, week 5 bye weeks all the time. It's not going to withhold you from getting to a Super Bowl if you've got an early bye week. You know, it helps teams that are banged up late in the season go on a second run, particularly older teams. It helped Tampa in 2020 with Brady having that late bye week, and they went on a run and ultimately won the Super Bowl that year, and that god-awful COVID year per se. But again, so 10-7, that they look to be, and then I say it could be 9-8. They look to be a playoff team. It's just when you rush guys in that's been holding out like that, I see it all the time. They get nagging injuries. The timing is off. I don't expect Ayuk to be a non-factor. I expect him to be a non-factor in this week game, this next week's game in Monday Night Football, and perhaps be a slow to get a. He might be 5 or 6 games into the season before he gets up to par. You know, my opinion. So I think they're going to be digging deep into their depth chart this year, particularly at running back. I'm going to guess that McCaffrey don't play 17 games this year, in my opinion. All righty then. So I'm doing this in no particular order. I just turned the page there. Let me see. Go back here to the very beginning here. I guess I'll go ahead and I wanted to start off with the 49ers, since there's been news on the Niners with McCaffrey coming back in the big, long-awaited Trent Williams extension there. You know, Williams is a guy. He just don't stay happy too long. Remember, they got him because he was disgruntled with Washington. That kind of cut him some slack in there because Washington's got a terrible owner. But, you know, Williams is somewhat of a diva left tackle, but you do need him. He's a big difference maker there in Frisco. So, again, keep that, bookmark that. I'll come back to it when I get done talking about the NFC West, as I talk about now the Arizona Cardinals. The key for Arizona is, ever since he's been there, it's been Kyler Murray. Can you keep Kyler Murray healthy? You know, I mean, Kyler Murray being an undersized player that he is, I think you need a good running game around a guy like that. I think because of his size, that's probably why they keep him in shotgun so he can see over the line. But I would try to put him under center as much as I can and still give the running backs a fair shot there to run the ball and get some type of momentum. That being said, last year, it wasn't a bad team. They played hard under this coach here, Jonathan Gannon. I thought, for those of you that's been watching me for a while, Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator of the Eagles when they were dreadful on defense. The Eagles that could not get a stop in the Super Bowl at times. Could not get a stop. This guy must be a great interview and a great delegator to delegate other responsibilities to others. Or maybe nobody wanted that Arizona job. I don't know. But somehow he finds his way into Arizona here. And all things considered, they were 4-13. They did beat the Eagles last year, 35-31 at the Philadelphia Eagles, and they did beat Atlanta last year. And they beat the 49ers. No, they got destroyed by the 49ers. So, like I said before, I just don't know what to make of them. The biggest news of this team is they have the 4th pick overall, getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, they did lose Hollywood Brown there in free agency. He's now with the Kansas City Chiefs. And, you look at this team here, James Conner and whatnot, I just think that they're going to be a fun team to watch just for fantasy purposes. What can you get out of Kyler Murray? What can you get out of Marvin Harrison? I think Harrison's going to hit the ground running. There's a little bit of a controversy there with some issue there with the jersey thing. There's no authorized jerseys through the team shop with his name on it or something like that. But other than that, they're going to be an interesting team to watch. I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. But so anyways, I've got this team going. Let's see. They'll be interesting. Let me make sure I got this right here. AZ. They were 4-13. I got them going 5-12. And that's saying that you get 8 to 10 games out of Murray. This guy, for one thing, they were playing. There was a school of thought. Remember when they made this move to trade with Houston last year, and then Houston got Will Anderson? There was a school of thought, and I think even the owner looked at this, but Kyler Murray did play pretty decent when he came back last year in this system, that they were just trying to lose as much as they can and get the top quarterback in this particular year's draft, per se. That started to go away when they beat the Eagles, went on a little bit, played pretty well down the stretch the last few games of the regular season there. And now they're just kind of, living off of hoping these draft picks hit, your Marvin Harrisons of the world, your previous draft picks, and see what happens. They've always had a fair defense there. But their Arizona people, they did have a really good year a few years ago when they won their first 7 games in a row, and then they kind of fell apart there at the end. That the only playoff, that they did get to, per se, and it looked like that Kyler Murray was quick, almost too quick to throw away the ball because he's almost half afraid of Aaron Donald, which I'm not mad at him for that. But they really didn't have a chance there. So they're pretty much the capped out team. There's just not a lot you can expect for them. They're just going to be a spoiler like they were last year, and a fun fantasy team to watch, in my humble opinion. All right. Now, I'll tell you what, this next team, folks, let me see. I'm going to go ahead and do Seattle first. I'll do Seattle. Since I'm in the page 108. Let's go to Seattle real quick. All right. Seattle's got a lot of talent on their team. You've got, and by the way, so they got a new coach. They fired Pete Carroll. Fired Pete Carroll in the offseason, made it to 9-8, fired him, fired his staff, brought in this Mike McDonald. Now, I was really shocked that they went this direction. I was for sure, because Pete Carroll's from the defensive side of the ball, teams usually go the opposite. They usually go the opposite of the previous coach. Whatever side of the ball, like the Titans, they fired Mike Vrabel and end up with Callahan here. All right. For example there, right? But the Seahawks fired defensive, went defensive there with the Baltimore Ravens. Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator, when that defense was really rocking last year, young guy there, went with him, stayed defense, go defense, And he brought in Leslie Frazier as an assistant head coach. So their defense is going to be rock solid and good in spots there. Not to mention, listen, they got a good receiving core on paper, Tyler Lockett, Jason Smith-Njigba, the second-year player out of Ohio State there. And, of course, DK Metcalf. So the problem is Geno Smith. Geno Smith had a little bit of a resurgence year before last, under who was it, Walden, who is now the coach there, I think, at the offensive coordinator there with the Bears. And you're pretty much limited with him. The line's pretty good. Really like their running back core. Ken Walker there. What is he, the third-year player out of Michigan State there. And, they were 9-8 last year. But I don't see a big jump this year. They're the typical team that's a quarterback away. They are a quarterback away from really making a big jump here. And, people talk about Dak Prescott being on the last year of his deal. He's playing on an open contract. I mean, I think it'll be good if he'll have the edge, But Geno Smith at times really started looking like Geno Smith last year, per se, and, they lost to teams like Pittsburgh at home, with musical quarterbacks. So I just don't know and they should have lost to Philadelphia last year, but they ended up winning. So I've got this team going 8-9. By the way, I was looking at the FanDuel over and unders there. They got them at 7.5 wins. So they're not thinking nothing's going to happen. They're looking at the strength of schedule here. This team's got to open up against Denver. Denver, New England, looks like they're going to get on a good run there. They're going to start off 2-0, but then they got Miami. Then they got to play at Detroit on Monday night. Then they got the Giants coming in on a short week. They've got to play Buffalo later on this year. They got to play Green Bay later on this year. At Chicago late on a Thursday. I think Chicago beats them there, So it's a pretty dicey schedule, if you ask me. They're going to go probably 8-9 is what I'm predicting. They'll be one game worse than last year. They'll be better than Vegas is predict them at 7.5 wins, but they're in that stagnant area there where the dreadful 8-8 before we had 17 games, right? And what maybe they should just boy, would it Schroeder Sanders look good in a Seattle uniform? Wouldn't the former son of Deion, former Colorado, and next year, this team should be pretty aggressive. They've got a good roster here, good on both sides there, both sides of the ball, blocking up front. Really good receiver there on a rookie contract there. DK Metcalf, got him. They're going to be a fun team to watch, but it is what it is. If they have to go up from 15 or whatever, and you got to go up to 5, this would be a good year in April of next year to go up and try to get a Schroeder Sanders. That's really what I think it should. I don't know if they would want to bring a Dak Prescott in there, because I know Jerry Jones is going to sign Dak to 40 to 55 million plus a year. We know that's going to happen. That's why I'm bringing it up, because it's a possibility, but Seattle's not going to sign him. Dallas will re-sign Dak. But I'm thinking after this team finishes about the same as they did last year with a different coach, they need to restart the quarterback. Geno Smith, did you really think he's going to be a big star? He's a bridge guy, late bloomer. I like the story. I'm sure they can get out of that contract. It's not a big contract from the get-go. I want to say it was only a 2-year deal anyways. So they'll be in good shape. And then you get a rookie, something fell over there. You get a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. You can keep all this talent around him is what I'm trying to say. So, I know Seattle fans don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. I call balls and strikes on this program. So I got them going under 500, 8-9, maybe 9-8. That's about what they were last year. The dreaded no man's land, right? Okay, Rams. The Rams, I tell you what. Remember the Rams had all that dead money last year, $60-70 million? And they got to the playoffs. They pushed the Ravens hard last year. And the Ravens, Lamar Jackson has not lost a game, folks, to an NFC opponent. And, I'm looking at last year, took the Ravens to overtime in Baltimore last year. Beat Cleveland, a good Cleveland team, 36-19 last year. Lost 24-23 to Detroit last year. Beat the 49ers, but I think the 49ers benched a lot of players there at the very end. Finished 10-8 last year. Very impressive. They were a team I thought was going to pick in top 5. Again, they're one of those teams. If you can keep Matt Stafford healthy, they've drafted well. They did lose Aaron Donald. That could be a big deal. They did lose Aaron Donald. I want to say they're at 8.5 over and under there. I did make some notes here that their left tackle has a 2-game suspension, and they got a guard on the offensive line that's limited. They may get off to a bad start. But if they picked up Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason, Sean McVay's pretty good with quarterback. Remember that year when he, not last year, of course not, but the year before that, Sean McVay won a game with Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield was in the city for 20 minutes. They beat like the Raiders or somebody on a Thursday night game. It was crazy. With Baker Mayfield, he just picked him up off a waiver wire or something. They had some injuries. So everything's about Stafford. Puka Nacua should have won Rookie of the Year. A wide receiver here, Kyron Williams. What a splash of a running back he has been there. I like this team, folks. I tell you, I thought they, other than the injuries there at the line there and some reshuffling, they still got 10 players on offense coming back, 9 on defense. This team could make a Super Bowl run, but I don't quite think they got the roster to beat a to beat Detroit. We're going to find out real quick. They play Detroit again on opening night, and I think they're going to lose to Detroit. By the way, Jamar Gibbs is going to be back for the Lions. He had gotten injured. They're going to have their running back back. Lions are going to be like a house of fire next year. But, so they're playing at Detroit. They're playing teams like Green Bay. Let's see. Minnesota on Thursday night, but that's at the Rams. You got to play Philadelphia out of division. You got to play the Jets out of division. Actually have them beating the Jets because they get some bye time. They got to play that AFC East there. But that being said, I do like what they've done over the last few years as far as drafting. And Puka Nacua was a 5th-round pick. And this guy is fully healthy. He's going to be a house of fire. And, the biggest problem I have with a guy like Stafford, he's always getting his hand banged up on somebody's helmet. So everything is about Stafford. Other than that, the team as a whole, maybe that Aaron Donald opens up the run defense a little bit, but they was confident enough to trade their leading tackler, E.J. Henderson, linebacker, to the Tennessee Titans. So they're pretty confident in that secondary there and that group with the Rams here. So after looking at everything and analyzing, I got them going 10-7. I've got this team going 10-7. Last year was supposed to be their big fall off year, and it wasn't. They got to the playoffs anyway. So kudos to Sean McVay here. Keep that in mind. I've done the Rams. I've done the Arizona. I've done the 49ers. So now let's break down this division, folks. I've got a stunner here. I got a stunner. I think the Rams win this division at 10-7. I got San Francisco losing tiebreakers here. I think San Francisco is going to stumble early. Again, I've got them losing week 1. I think they're going to stumble out of the gate. They'll get it together late, like they always seem to do, not unless something happens to Brock Purdy. And they're going to find a way to be 10-7 or 9-8. I'm going to go with 10-7. Rams win a tiebreaker. There. They win the West. Nobody's predicting that, by the way. Everybody's still going to pick the 49ers. Seattle 8-9. Just talked about them. They're going to have to do away with let the Geno Smith thing pass up and go out and get it, be aggressive, get that quarterback. And then, of course, a fun 5-12. They're going to be a fun 5-12 with the Arizona Cardinals there. That'll be the team you just watch on Red Zone to see what do you think Marvin Harrison is going to do. They're always a fun team to watch for fantasy. I don't know. That's that later game, the second game, and the 49ers are blowing out somebody, or one of the other games are not doing that good in Red Zone, and then you're just watching Arizona to cover, or you're watching them for fantasy. You got a player there. That's really what you watch them for. All righty then. Moving on to the NFC, AFC East here. It's page 153 here on my book. And I tell you, this was a tough one. This was a very tough prediction to make. And there's something about the Jets, I just cannot put my finger on it, which way to go with them. But I'll get to them in just a little bit. I'll start off with the lowly team here and not waste a lot of time on these guys. And that's the New England Patriots. This magazine's picking them to finish 4th in the division. Now, I have been wrong before. I was wrong last year, and I admitted I was wrong. I said Todd Bowles with Baker Mayfield, they would be picking number 1 overall. They end up winning the division and winning a playoff game. So I was wrong there. But this year, they moved off Bill Belichick, brought in Jared Mayo. Heard a lot of good stuff about Mayo when he opened his mouth at his press conference and played the victim and talk about no black coaches not getting enough opportunity. I'm thinking, are you trying to set yourself up to kind of blackmail Robert Kraft into not firing you sooner than he should on the day he's hiring you? Are you trying to play the race card, premeditated, preemptive race card strike or whatever? Yeah, that the preemptive strike you hear about in the all this war talk and whatnot. So it really turned me off, and I thought, this guy's I don't know, he's just a moron, and he is a defensive guy. They're not, some of them aren't the smartest people in the world. He might just be a good coordinator material or a position coach material. And I got a sense that right off the bat in the open. And if I'm wrong, you guys know me to watch me for a long time. I own it about these guys. But anyways, so they're going to go with Jacoby Brissett, and that's saying lose. They lack skilled players. They were looking to get Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk didn't want to go to that disaster. Go to a winning team and then go to the total opposite, go to a dumpster fire out in New England. New England fans should still feel kind of high, though, from all those years, those 20 years of Brady and Belichick, where things are really, really unbelievably successful. But anyways, so this team will be, maybe this is a good thing by just letting Brissett play out. Brady even said that. He was on the Colin Cowherd show. He said that today. He said, I think a player should sit a year. He set a year. I forgot that he set that year under Bledsoe. Patrick Mahomes set a year under Alex Smith. Jordan Love set 3 years. Aaron Rodgers set 3 years. I'm okay with the sitting. I'm okay with that part. I don't care for Mayo, and their roster still needs to be upgraded from a skill position. So, I got this team going 2-15. I think they're probably going to get the number one pick overall. Now there's talks of maybe they take one of these quarterbacks, but it just depends. Drake May did look good on his last he was being compared to Justin Herbert. He did look good in his last preseason game. Maybe they get beat so bad in the regular season that middle of the season they put him in and a light bulb goes off there. I hope Jared Mayo bounces back, and I don't really hope nothing bad for him. He just rubbed me the wrong way, and I like Drake May. I've seen him at North Carolina before. He does look like he's got some talent, and he's made some big time throws. So we'll see how that thing goes off. That's not really a hot take. 2-15. The over and under was 4.5. They're favored to get that number one pick. Okay. Especially if Brissett plays all 17 games. See, that guy, I think at one time, Jacoby Brissett was the most sacked player in the NFL. Go figure. Defensive mind, a head coach, and nobody to get the ball to. So we shall see, Wuku Saki. All right, now let's go to Miami. As I said before, Miami, the Dolphins here, they just extended Tua, and they extended Waddle. All right, and they extended Tyreek Hill. So you don't extend two wide receivers here. They've lost multiple players there on the defensive line. And like I said, they moved off their defensive coordinator because Vic Fangio wasn't a good fit there. I just think that this team is going to take a step back. I'm not sure. Like Scott Morgenroth said, he said, I would not extend Tua. Let Tua show that he can be 100% 2 years in a row, judging by the fact that he's been hurt the last 3. And I know a lot of this goes back to that Brian Flores story and whatnot. But this team has a tendency to fall apart. We go down to 148 here, and we'll look at some of their notes here on the Miami Dolphins as I'm working my way up to the better teams, folks. And this magazine's got them finishing third. So they're not really in love with their off season there. Anthony Weaver at defensive coordinator. I've never heard of this guy. They did add players like Jordan Poyer, former Bills. He's an older player, way behind his prime. They lost players like Christian Wilkins there, Eli Apple, Deshaun Elliott, Xavier Howard. I don't know what it is, but Xavier Howard hasn't been signed yet. Had some problems there, so they still got Jalen Ramsey there. If he can play a whole season, they're going to have a really fast offense there with this running back. I want to say they got a running back here, Jalen Wright out of Tennessee, a rookie. He's a speedster. They're going to look good in some games. They're going to be a lot like last year, where last year in September at home, in air quotes, against Denver, they beat them 70-20. They beat Carolina 42-21, 45 points on Washington. They beat up on the bad teams. What they do to the Giants, 31 points to the Giants. So they beat up on the bad teams. They had one team above 500 win. I think that was remember it was the Dallas Cowboys 22-20. And remember towards the end of the season, Ravens put 56 points on them. So lost to the Ravens, lost to the Bills, and got destroyed by Kansas City down the stretch. They're like, get hot early, go down when the temperature goes down, their play goes down. So with all that, I think they're going to wear down like they always do with the more physical teams they have trouble with towards the end of the season. Like Philadelphia beating them 31-17 there last year, So I've got this team going 6-11 to 7-10 range. Just not really sure about their defense as a whole. Don't like how they're spending their money on the offensive side. And by the way, they gave Waddle a stitch. Waddle's been hurt all the time. So it looks like they're not really into winning. They're just into selling some tickets and being viable. Even though I like Chris Greer, their general manager, I got a feeling the owner there, Stephen Ross, has got a lot to do with this and just wants to keep that stadium full. In my opinion, hey, man, prove me wrong, right? Prove me wrong. Okay. Now let's go to the Buffalo Bills. No, let's go to the Jets. Jets. Again, the toughest team to handle here, this Jets team. It's hard to get a handle on them because Pro Football Focus has them. I mentioned they're a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. They've added players like Morgan Moses at right tackle, Tyron Smith at left tackle. Moses, I want to say they got him from over there from Baltimore. And they drafted Ola Fashanu there to fill in at left tackle. Tyron Smith's a really good player there out of Dallas. Now, he's a little long in the tooth, 33 years old. Fashanu, really good pass blocker there at left tackle. But he's going to swing guy. You can move him to right, to left. May have to play left. Probably will have to play left because Tyron Smith, at his age and his history there, that's why Dallas let him go, probably not going to play 17 games per se. And now here's the bad news. Hassan Reddick, they traded for Hassan Reddick in April. He still has not showed up. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed there. So they've added Reddick, but they lost Bryce Huff. So they might have an issue there with the pass rushers. Now, of course, they still got players here. They've Jermaine Johnson on the defensive line. Quentin Williams, they paid him a lot of money. And, of course, then I mentioned Michael Carter at the beginning of the program, the cornerback there opposite opposite of Sauce Gardner, if I'm not mistaken, or is a nickel guy, gave him a 3-year extension. So that happened today. This team's got some good players here. Rodgers seems up to par here. Looks like Mike Williams is going to be back here. So that's a wide receiver there that they've got over there from the Chargers. He was a player there last year, and I think Mike Williams is going to be playing. I don't think he's on the injured reserve here. They said they've got him questionable right now. Is expected to be available for the opener. Yeah, I just want to double check on that. Mike Williams will be back. So I like them to win that opener. I'm not just saying that to make the Jets fans feel good. They've got 9 offensive players coming back at 8 on the defensive side, including a very, very good running back there, Breece Hall. I think now, mind you, this team, the Dallas or the Denver Broncos with the stick man look like the 10 man in Peyton Manning, barely moving around like a robot, won the Super Bowl on defense and him just making key third down throws there, short passes for the Denver Broncos. Ended up beating that really good Carolina team. So I got this team going 10-7. 10-7. They're a little bit better than I thought. So if I'm wrong Monday, I'll tell you, hey, I messed up. You know, if it happens, if it messed up, it messed up. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. Okay? Get a little low on time. The Bills, addition by subtraction with trading Stephon Diggs. I said that then. I'm saying it now. Got a lot of disruption out of the locker room, if you ask me, folks. I'm telling you, the Bills, big deal there, getting rid of him. I love their second-round pick in Keon Coleman out of Florida State. I think he's going to be doing great there with Josh Allen, if you ask me. I really do. I think he's going to look good there. They did lose their center there. Still got 8 players on offense back. Defense has only got 6, but they've got their front line guys there. You can win without safeties in this league. Both of their Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, they let both of them go. They still have a pretty good cornerback there. And, oh, God, what's the guy's name they traded for last year? And I'm looking for his name. Taylor Rapp, really good fill-in state. Rasheed Douglas from Green Bay. So I've got them winning this division here at 11-6. All right. The Jets are going to come in second. They look like they could be a wild card team at 10-7. And I've got the Miami Dolphins at 7-10. They're going to come up short. And of course, the lowly Patriots at 2-15. They may win 4 games. You never know who's going to be injured in NFL, and you catch them at the right time. The team's motivated and whatnot. Maybe they'll win 4 or 5 games. But either way, that's what I've got going on right now. I will give you continue this quest tomorrow, and we'll start with the AFC North, which is my next page here. And, of course, we'll do the AFC West as well, and finish this thing up with the AFC South on Thursday and give you my playoff and Super Bowl predictions. Hopefully I'll get all that in before the game or during the game on Thursday. Okay? If you'd like the show, share the show. Again, I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, Jet fans, by tomorrow, you'll have Hassan Reddick. I think he's the only holder. Well, I forgot about Jamar Chase. He has not. That's getting really sticky there in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase. But again, I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. I think it's about the quarterback, and I think they'll still be okay even if he does hold out. Okay? All right, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, same time, same place here at the Real Sports Scope.